saw on his social media.
Hey, I just have to, I just have bad news this morning. I'm on my way to the airport to get to Birmingham. I just want everybody to pray for me. Pray for our family. My son, Rickey Smiley, has passed away this morning.
The outpouring of love and support was immediate as Rickey continued to share his journey of even laying his oldest son to rest. A heartbreaking moment, in fact, included him taking his fans, the people who love him and root for him, to the funeral on his social media. Take a look.
Go right there and look in the closet. Get a packer. T-shirt, underwear, socks to bury his son in.
Rickey is here in hopes of helping other parents who are dealing with grief. Tam Fam, please welcome NAACP Image Award winner and father, Rickey Smiley.
Thank you.
Obviously, we are so sorry for your loss, and I have to tell you, one thing we've learned over the years, and people grieve differently.
Right.
There's no formula for grief. Your decision to let it out in this way, was it a spontaneous decision? Was it something that you hit the video and you said, maybe I'm going to send it, maybe I'm not? Take me through.
Yeah. Well, my son is a comedian. He was a comedian. He had fans. We had a reality show.
Following in your footsteps.
Yeah, following my footsteps. We had 6 seasons on TV One. Rickey Smiley for real. And I'm always on social media talking to the fans and just doing little simple, small, fun stuff. And that was a moment that I just wanted to share because I knew that at some point we was going to have to start trying to get the message out to try to save more lives. And I wanted to tell the fans before anybody else did. I didn't want them to hear it from anybody else. I wanted them to hear it from me. And so I decided to share it.
It was actually my mother, who lives in Texas, who called me immediately and said, I just heard something. Rickey's son, Brandon, 32, has passed away.
Yeah.
And the minute you hear a 32-year-old seemingly healthy, the question becomes, what happened?
Yeah, he was just struggling for years, had been struggling probably since the 11th grade
Struggling
with addiction. And it had gotten to a point where his mother and he has a wonderful mother and father that lives in Atlanta.
You co-parent with Brenda.
Yes.
And her husband, his stepdad.
Yes.
So it's a trifecta of love.
Yes.
That was around him on these dark days.
And his mother, really stuck with him. Even when I threw my hands up, on those bad days and said, I can't do it anymore, I'm tired, because it's always conflict when you're dealing with somebody that's struggling.
I think you just did something that I wasn't expecting that is so powerful for people who have family members who are struggling with addiction.
Yeah.
I think it is, to be honest, in most cases, there's someone at some point, no matter how deeply you love, that you feel like, I don't know what else to do. People have been there. It's been in my family.
Yeah.
Where someone is struggling with an addiction and you love them, you're rooting for them, and you do everything you can, but you're only human. Tell me, what was that battle like, trying to save Brandon's life?
It was hard. It was expensive. It's not cheap sending, your son off to rehab. I sent him off twice. His mother sent him, I think, twice. Comedian Special K on my morning show was working with his mother to send him off. And I think he went a couple of times himself. He was trying his best to get himself together. He had just got baptized probably about a month and a half ago.
When did you learn of his addiction?
I would find little stuff in the house, bongs, beer cans, or whatever. And it was just going through that rebellion. I thought it was just going through the rebellion stage. Say, hey, don't do this. Since you say don't do it, I'm going to do it, or whatever. sir, very respectful, but he just had that rebellious side.
I know so many parents right now who are dealing with this right now, and they don't want to lose their children, and
Yeah.
you don't want another family
Right.
to go through what you've experienced.
Mhm.
So you're finding these things, and it starts to escalate over time.
Yes.
His addiction.
Yeah, yeah. Because once he got out of college and started working, it was like I knew, because I always had my ear to the streets. So I would have these conversations with him a lot and talk about what I saw my granddad go through with my dad.
You lost your father
I did.
in New York, right?
Yeah.
He was in New York.
Mm-hmm.
An act of violence.
Mm-hmm.
He was killed.
Right.
And so your grandfather
Right.
lost his son,
Lost his son.
and you didn't want to follow that
Absolutely.
family trauma and pain.
Right. Yeah, I saw. I was really close to my grandfather. Passed away 3 years ago. I watched my grandfather go through this with my dad, and I remember 1974 more than I do 6 weeks ago with my son. Watching my grandfather go through what he went through with my dad was just heartbreaking. Sitting on that front row, 7 years old, looking down the aisle, I could not understand why my grandparents was crying like that. And I just did not want to go through that with my son. And, and here we are.
More with Rickey Smiley when we come back.